Good morning, children. Good morning, everyone. See, today's session we will be continuing learning about English. So, we have already conducted one more session where we have taken care of one lesson and one poetry, that is one poem. We had discussed the details about that poem as well as the lesson, and then we had started going through those MCQs, and almost about 30 MCQs we had reviewed. So today's session we will be learning about two topics. We will be taking care of two topics. So standard 10th English course book, you have 3.1 poem, and that is Night of the Scorpion, right? And 3.3 is about Stephen Hawking. So let's start without losing our time. Let's begin with English Unit 3.1, Night of the Scorpion. See, children, we have already learned this poem, and we know the poet was Nissim Ezekiel, 1924 to 2004. We have already learnt about him. So just take a gist about this poem. Nissim Ezekiel. He was Indian Jewish and contributed as an actor, playwright, editor, art critic, and he was also recipient of Sahitya Academy Award, which he received in about 1983. So children, he was the recipient of Sahitya Academy Award, which he received for his poetry collection Latter Day Psalms, and the Padma Shri Award in 1988. So when we learn about the poem, when we try to recall about the poem's gist or paraphrase, we understand that the poem highlights the reliance on superstitions in the Indian society. We have learnt, children, that when the poet was simply a child, and when he faces the situation, all of a sudden the situation comes in front of him, that he finds his mother to be beaten up by the stench, poisonous stench of the scorpion. And then the whole drama, whole situation is in front of the poet, which he narrates. So being a child, he's observing everyone. He's observing his parents, he's observing the pain of his mother, and also all those activities that are being taken care of by his father. And also, children, if you remember, we also learn about the poem that is the time even the poet highlights how Indian villagers were, what kind of mentality they had. So the poem also portrays a realistic picture of the rural Indian scene during the poet's time. So I don't feel like we should go again into the depth of the paraphrase and all, but overall, if you see the outline of the poem, we understand one thing, that it is the poet whose observation has been depicted, has been given into the words of this poem, which highlights overall Indian society, more stress, more emphasis which is given on religious activities, religious beliefs, superstitious beliefs of the villagers, and how throughout the night, it is the night time actually when this incident takes place, and instead of giving some kind of medicine, or instead of taking his mother to the hospital, all those villagers gather, they start talking to each other, and then all their superstitious beliefs are nicely drawn into this poem. So without wasting our time, now we will start learning, we will start going through the MCQs. So you might have understood about Nissim Ezekiel and the outline of the poem. Let's start now. Question number 1. Choose the correct option for the following. The part of the day when the poet's mother was stunned. Can anyone tell me? Can you guess, children? Was it the morning time, afternoon time, evening, or night time? It was definitely the night time, because that is the way the name of the poem also symbolizes. The name of the poem also tells us. Now, children, here, before we start going through finding out accurate option, correct option, we must understand one thing, that there are multiple choices are given to you, but A, B, C, D. Does that mean that all options are going to be correct? No, they are not like that. So in that case, out of 4, you have to concentrate on more like 2 options which are very close to the correct answer. And remaining 2 options are always like they are so easily found. They can be found, they can be judged easily. So here, because the poem's name also suggests Knight of the Scorpion, so the correct option is Knight. Now question number 2. The poet begins the poem by remembering the night because it was raining continuously for 10 hours. Option B, it was the night when the scorpion had beaten his mother. Option C, the scorpion had stung the poet's mother, causing her severe pain. Option D, the scorpion had crawled beneath the sack of rice. Now children, if you read all these options, choices, we understand with the name of the poem that it was the Night of the Scorpion. So all these activities that are shown, that are drawn into the poem, they actually move around the scorpion. So poet begins the poem by remembering the night because not that it was raining continuously for 10 hours, but it was the night when the scorpion had beaten his mother. As I told you, this is the main point around which the whole poem is actually moves around. So the second option is the correct option. It was the night when the scorpion had beaten his mother. Now question number 3. Which of the following statement is not made by the peasants? Now we have seen, children, in the poem that slowly when the people come to know about this incident that poet's mother has been beaten up by the poison of the scorpion, all the people, all the villagers, they start coming, they gather, they make noise, there is excitement, there is fear, all these factors are there. So now you need to imagine which of the following statement is not made by the peasants. So you will find all the statements that are made by the peasants, but you need to understand the requirement of the question. Here the question says, which of the following statement is not made by the peasants? So you have to read it very carefully. May the scorpion sit still. This is option A. B is, may the sins of the mother's previous birth be burnt away that night. Was this the statement spoken by the villagers, peasants? Or may the poison purify her soul and heart? Or may the sum of all evil in this unreal world against the sum of good get reduced by her pain? Now overall, if you see all these options, children, you'll understand that all these options may seem to be correct, may seem to be spoken by the peasants, but there is definitely one option which is not been spoken by the peasant, and I feel it is, may the poison purify her soul and heart. This statement has not been made by the peasants. Now you will say, why this option has to be chosen? For this, children, when you are preparing yourself for the CET, you understand that you need to learn all the details of the poem. You should know the actual paraphrase of the poem. Now, if you go through each and every stanza when you're reading, when you're practicing, go through each words. It was not her soul and heart that was going to be, like, according to the peasants, that was going to be purified by the poison of the scorpion, but rather it was her desire. So, option C is incorrect option. So, let's move further ahead with question number 4. What does the line "to paralyze the evil one" mean? Because this line is there in the poem, children. So now you should know the meaning of this line. To paralyze the evil one mean. To paralyze the evil one means what? Now who's considered to be evil over here? To stop. Let's go through all the options. To stop the venom of the scorpion from spreading throughout the poet's mother's body. To stop the venom of the scorpion from spreading throughout the poet's mother's body. Does this statement mean to paralyze the evil one mean? No. To deter the scorpion from coming close to them. C option. The venom purifies her flesh of desire and her spirit of ambition. The venom purifies her flesh of desire and her spirit of ambition. What do you think, children? Is this the option, correct option? Or the venom would spread in mother's body. Which option can be correct, children, over here? Actually, overall, if you see, all options seem to be very correct. But now, to paralyze the evil one mean to stop the venom of the scorpion from spreading throughout the poet's mother's body. It's like the poison of the snake, children. Once you are beaten up by the poison of the snake, then you know within few minutes the poison gets spread all over the body. And that's what to paralyzing means. What? To paralyze means to stop the venom, to stop the poison of the scorpion from getting spread throughout the poet's mother's body. So option A should be the correct option. Now children, question number 5. Choose the wrong pair. Children, here I feel that I must tell you, you need to understand the requirement of the question. Sometimes in a hurry, what happens, you do not, like, the right requirement of the question is not clicked by you. You do not understand that, whether it was the correct option or whether it was the wrong option you were supposed to choose. So here, choose the wrong pair means the pair which is not correct has to be chosen by you. So this understanding should be very, very clear, children. Okay, so now let's go through the options. Recollect means remember. I think so. This is about the synonym. So nobody is going to tell you that the pairs that are given are about antonyms or synonyms or about any like based on any grammar topic. The minute you see it, you should understand it. Okay, children. So venom means poison. Constant means steady. Diabolic means godly. Now here you need to understand, you should know the meaning of each word. Now recollect means remember. This option is correct. Venom means poison. This is also a correct option. Constant means where the consistency is shown. Steady. Progress is steady. So constant and steady means the same. And diabolic is what, children? Here diabolic is that which is not godly. Diabolic is evil, you can say. So to understand the correct pairs or the requirement of the answer, you should know the meanings also. So here you are expected to go through all those words and glossary words that are given in your left and right side margin of your English course book. So I hope that you understand how you are going to study. It is so important that you know the gist of the whole course book, children. What exactly has been told, what exactly has been highlighted through each and every poem, each and every prose, that you should be able to understand. So here it was the question based on synonyms, whereas all the synonyms, pairs of synonyms are given except one, and that has to be chosen correctly by you. Now next, children, question number 6. Choose the wrong pair again. So this is, I think so, same type of question is repeated over here. So again you're going to see whether these are synonyms or antonyms or based on any grammar topic it is asked. Look at the first pair, good, evil. Now what do you understand reading this first choice, children? You understand that the words that are given are not synonyms but rather they are antonyms. So good is the opposite of evil. So you understand that base in the first choice itself when it is based on synonyms, antonyms or any other grammar topic. Now next is antidote. Antidote is what, children? Poison. Antidote is something pure. Opposite, poison. Now next option is fortune. Fortune is the opposite of misfortune. You have all learnt that there are some group of letters which are added to change the word into antonym. So miss, un, in, all these are actually words. Dis, isn't it? These are group of words which are joined to make the given word, to put it into opposites. Now look at the last option, and that is pain. Pain means discomfort, if you see. So here first three options are about antonyms, whereas the last option is given and it's about synonyms. So I think so now you will be able to understand which is the odd man out over here. So out of 4 options, the last option is about synonyms, so that is your wrong pair. So you have to choose it that way. You have to like study and approach each question that way. Now children, we will see question number 7. Choose the correct option. Now children, here for the first time I think so, you'll be solving, you'll be trying to find out the correct option. Yes, again I would like to repeat the same statement which I have already made, that you need to understand, you need to remember the gist, the paraphrase, the central idea of the poem. Now here see what is being given in the statement. The statement says, the holy man used chants to cure the poet's mother. Now children, tell me, who's this holy man would be? Who's this holy man according to the poet, according to the poem? You should have the clarity about that person first. So then once it is clarified, once the idea is very clear, then you can find out the correct option. So here the holy man, this holy adjective has been used about the man who is the father of the poet. Sceptic, rational, practical, but at the same time religious also, because anyhow his main motto, his main objective is to cure, get some relief to his wife, to the poet's mother. So the holy man used chants to cure the poet's mother is a true statement. Now you may get confused over here. No, he was trying, because he poured paraffin also on the place, on the wound where the scorpion had stung. You need to learn one thing, children. Sometimes the half statement also can be given, but that doesn't mean that the statement is false. Even he was trying all possible ways. So he was religious also at the same time, he was sceptic also, he was practical also. Whatever all possible ways were there in his hand, he was trying. So the statement becomes true. Now question number 8. Choose the correct alternative. You need to choose the correct one from the given options. And the statement is, the child is afraid but admires. See, you can imagine the psychology of a child psychology. He is observing everyone in his house. Especially it is the night time. Moreover, villagers were having that lantern in their hands. They were trying to find out. They were trying to search for the scorpion. So maybe the situation had become very panic for the child like the poet, because he was very young at that time. So he was afraid, but at the same time he is able to admire something. Now what is it that he is admiring? That has to be found out in the correct option. So the option number 1 is the initiative of the peasants. Now here, were the peasants there and had they taken initiative? Did they initiate themselves to cure the pain of the poet's mother? If the answer comes no, then you are correct. So the first option is not the correct alternative. Now option B is his father trying every way to cure. This can be correct, children, because just now we have understood that it was his father actually who was putting in a lot of efforts to cure, to relieve his wife. Now look at the third option, because you can't come to the conclusion, you can't jump onto the conclusion about the correct option right now. We have to go through all 4 options. So now option C is about the bravery of his mother. The bravery. Did the mother show any bravery, children? Had the mother been very, very brave while facing this situation? No, actually mother was not in that condition. She was literally she was painful. That condition, her body had shown some kind of pain, because it was poisonous pain, isn't it? There was poison in her body. So this option can be correct. But now we will go through the last option. The patience of his mother. Mother did not have any other option rather. So obviously the mother was patient at that time. But now here, as I said initially, which are the 2 more close options? Between these 2, you need to find out the more accurate answer. So here, if you see, option B and D are more close to the correct answer. So here you need to understand that his father was trying every way to cure. This is the most appropriate answer. Now you will say how. To understand it, you should remember the gist, the paraphrase as well as the central idea. When the mother is stung, already she is beaten up by the poison of the scorpion. All the villagers have gathered. They were at that point of time were not useful at all, because nobody was trying to cure, nobody was trying to relieve the pain. It was only his father, the poet's father, who was trying every way, every possible way to cure his mother's pain. So option B will be the right option, children. Now let's go through question number 9. His father and the villagers were panicked, hastily suggest. His father, was his father panicked, children? His father and the villagers, they were panicked and then they hastily suggested something. Now what was it that was suggested by his father as well as the villagers? Let's go through the options. Option A, to take her to the hospital. Was this a suggestion, children, given by the villagers? Neither the were the villagers or his father or both of them suggested that she should be taken to the hospital? Please think over it, children. Then option B, they also suggest that she should be given, the poet's mother should be given Ayurvedic treatment. So is this a statement correct, children? Look at the third option, religious remedies to help. And the last option is to try her patience. So here, children, if you are aware about the gist and central idea, you understand that neither of them suggested her to be taken to the hospital. So option A goes out of, it is now out of question. Option B is also not being the suggestion that was given by both of them. Ayurvedic treatment, yes, nobody spoke about the Ayurvedic treatment. So option B is also a wrong option. C, religious remedies to help. Yes, children, religious remedies were actually suggested by the villagers especially. They said something, what not they felt about the condition of the mother. They even felt that now as the mother is beaten up by the poison of the scorpion, now her flesh, her desire, everything is going to be purified. So this is nothing but the superstitious belief, children. Obviously, the villagers suggested religious remedies to be helped to his mother. So option C is the accurate option. And they tried to try her patience. No, it was not suggested. This is out of the box, children, you need to understand. So for question number 9, C is the correct option. Now let's go through the next question. Question number 10. The scorpion picked on me and spared my children. What does the statement depict, children? Who said these words? Basically, you should know about it. Was it the poet's father or was it the poet's mother? It was poet's mother. If you remember the lines, if you remember the whole poem, you know that these were the last few lines which are spoken up by the poet's mother. So it was the poet's mother who suffered a lot for almost the whole night. And after suffering for the whole night, look at the love and unconditional love of mother, that she says that thank God that it was me. Thank God that the scorpion picked on me. He chose me to give that pain. It was not my children. So definitely this statement depicts not mother's bravery or not even mother's endurance, but it suggests, it depicts selfless and unconditional love of the mother. So children, you might have understood that this kind of questions can be asked. Maybe some are factual, you can directly point out the answer, but sometimes maybe they are tricky. So once and for all you have learned the poem sincerely. Learning the poem doesn't mean that you will learn the poem by heart. You need to learn the paraphrase correctly. You should know what exactly has been pointed out, what exactly has been highlighted. So those words and those ideas are very clear in your mind. Easily answers can be found out. And as I said, you are going to be given OMR sheet where per question, right hand side 4 circles are going to be given. So whenever like you are going through the question, left side you will keep your question paper, you will read the question, you will see the option. If for question number 10, C option is correct, then at the right hand side there and then you will you will darken the circle with ball pen. All those like instructions will be given, you need to read them very carefully, and English paper is going to be of 25 marks. So now here children, it's not clear whether the paragraph, that is comprehension, scene comprehension, will be given to you, or only objective type questions with multiple choices are going to be given to you. So for both the ways you need to prepare yourself. Please remember this. You can't choose only one way and that way you need to prepare yourself. No, you have to be very thorough in your preparation. So remember, either a comprehension, scene comprehension will be given, and as I think so you are very familiar with the scene comprehension type. And below the comprehension, 10 different questions are asked. So they are based on vocabulary, they are based on grammar, personal response question is also there. But here for your CET, personal response question also can be asked through those 4 choices. So remember, anyhow you need to choose the correct choice at any cost. That will give you full marks. So now let's go through question number 11. The poem is titled Night of the Scorpion. For what, children? What is the reason that night of whom the scorpion is given? Let's see why the name is like this. Is it because the major part of the poem, the mother remains triumphant in the end, or the scorpion is the victor, or the father, option C is the father succeeds in curing his mother, or whether the night time is described? What exactly the poem is about, children? Is it about the mother who remains like a victor, who at the end of the poem, the mother seems to be like the victor? No. It's about the scorpion. The title itself tells us that throughout the night, it is the night of the scorpion. Why the night of the scorpion and why not the night of the mother's pain is given? Because whole night the scorpion remains the victor. He is into the winning situation. Now why he is into the winning situation? Because throughout the night he hides himself, the scorpion hides himself somewhere else, and it is the night time. There's no electricity. So obviously all the villagers are trying to search for that scorpion, and you know how quick the scorpion is, how sensitive the scorpion is. It tries to hide itself into the sack of rice. So obviously even though villagers, all the people have gathered over there, but still, in spite of putting in all kinds of different efforts, also the scorpion remains victor. So the correct option should be the scorpion is the victor, and not that the mother is remains triumphant in the end, or the father succeeds in curing his wife, or not even the night time is described. Okay children, now we will go through the next one. Question number 12. Excuse me, sir. It is showing that restart to maintain your device security. Now children, we will go through question number 12. Now this is about figure of speech. Maybe the sentence, maybe the line from the poem will be given to you, and you will be asked to search for the correct figure of speech. So you need to be like learning about the poetic devices like rhyming scheme or rhyming pairs, or even figures of speech. Now look at the sentence that is given over here. May the poison purify your flesh. Children, just imagine. I'm going to explain, but you should be imagining the correct option also. And the options are A, oxymoron, B, repetition, C is hyperbole, that is hyperbole, and D is inversion. As we have discussed earlier, children, out of 4 options, 2 should be out of question always, and it should be very, very clear in front of you. Your mind should be like, there should be clarity about the answers. So you should be like deciding between 2 options only. Now, oxymoron. What do you mean by oxymoron, children? Oxymoron is that figure of speech where 2 opposite kind of words come next to each other. Then repetition. Repetition is a figure of speech where the same word or one word gets repeated more than once to have that poetic beauty or poetic effect. Then hyperbole. What do you mean by hyperbole? Hyperbole is that figure of speech where the statement is exaggerated. It cannot be like, you cannot compare it with the reality. That is hyperbole. And inversion is that figure of speech where the sentence formation or prose order is not correctly given. That is inversion. So if you observe the sentence over here, may the poison purify your flesh. So now if you see poison, you know it's venom, poison, and purify. Somewhere else, if you observe these 2 words, these seem to be opposite to each other. They are not similar to each other, poison and purify. Now here these 2 kinds of opposite words have been placed next to each other. That's the reason the correct option should be oxymoron. So remember, children, when you are learning about the poems, go through all kinds of figures of speech. Like there are some figures of speech which are commonly used, like repetition, hyperbole, inversion, antithesis, simile, metaphor. But you have to learn out of the box. Like you have to learn about oxymoron, you have to learn about personification, you have to learn about transferred epithet, synecdoche. These are other figures of speech that also have to be revised by you, because remember, for 25 marks each question, 25 questions for 25 marks. So even if you lose 1 mark, definitely it's going to affect your total scoring. So you have to learn wisely. Now we will see question number 13. It's again based on the same thing, figures of speech. Identify the figure of speech for the following. Trying every curse and blessing, powder and mixture, herb and hybrid. Now here the options are a little different than the previous one. Here option A is simile and antithesis, B antithesis and alliteration, C alliteration and personification, D is antithesis and personification. Now children, again as we have done last time, we should know the meaning of each figure of speech. Now what do you mean by simile, children? What do you mean by simile? Simile is where the direct comparison has been made, and antithesis is where the opposite words are used in the same line. Same way, option B, antithesis, opposite words, use of the opposite words, and alliteration is where the sound of the same letter gets repeated. And again, personification is when human quality of laughing, sleeping, talking, enjoying, feeling are given to non-human things. And option D, antithesis, you know, the use of opposite words, and personification, human quality is given to the non-human thing. So overall, if you see 4 options, children, and then observe the sentence now. Trying every curse and blessing. Now if you see this line, curse and blessing are opposite words. Curse is the opposite of blessing. So now here you can say antithesis is suiting accurately over here, but you need to choose another one also, because it's a pair of figures of speech that are given in one option each. So antithesis is the correct option. Now we have to go through simile, alliteration, personification too. So now here if you see, trying every curse and blessing, powder, mixture, herb and hybrid. So if you see these 2 words, herb and hybrid, both the words begin with H. So the sound of the letter H is getting repeated, it becomes alliteration. So I feel that you might have understood the correct option is antithesis and alliteration. So you need to remember the option name. Here, second option, B option is the correct option. So definitely there and then you're going to write down, darken the circle of B. Let's go through the next question. Question number 14. The poet seems to see the villagers as impractical and almost irritating, which suggests, yes, throughout the poem, when you just observe the feelings and the ideas, the thoughts that the poet is having about the whole situation, he sees that villagers have started coming, they are only making noise, they are so excited, they are so worried. No doubt their ideas, their thoughts, their feelings are so genuine, but all these feelings do not show any practicality. These feelings are impractical because at that point of time, these feelings were not at all suggestive. These feelings were not at all useful to the poet's mother. That's the reason it was almost irritating. The poet might have even felt that why these villagers are there? They shouldn't have been here. Maybe quietly, sincerely, the poet's father, definitely the poet's father was like putting in some efforts, but it would have been very clear, and without getting panic also he would have done it so easily, with ease. But here, because there's the gathering of these villagers, that is creating more hurdle, more irritation, which suggests what? The poet is critical of caste, or the poet is critical of religion, or the poet is critical of tradition, or the poet has some kind of love and affection about the villagers. So which option will be correct, children? The poet, being very small at that point of time, also understands that the feelings, the behavior of the villagers it was highly impractical. That means the poet is critical of tradition. Look at the tradition, that the way people have gathered and they were of no use, they were trying to search, they are like searching, they are in search of the scorpion, but it was actually not helping the poet's mother. That's the reason the poet is critical of tradition. It is not about superstitions, exactly, it's not about the caste that the poet speaks about, it is not even about the religion, it's about the tradition which have got developed in the rural areas. So the poet is critical of tradition. Option C becomes the correct option. Now let's go through the last question based on this poem, children, and it's question number 15. The click of tongues reflects their dash to the predicament. What does it reflect, children? We have seen that towards the, like in the middle of the poem, people have gathered, they are chanting, they started chanting something for the betterment of the poet's mother. They are even like trying to like there is continuous discussion. They even feel that yes, maybe by that time the mother also will, like, that poison will purify mother's flesh of desire and all. So while doing all these things, all of a sudden they click their tongues. When do we click our tongue, children? When we feel that something wrong we have done, isn't it? Or when we feel that we shouldn't have done this. So the click of tongues reflects their individual response or collective response or group response, or this was not any kind of response, children, to the predicament, to the situation. So what would you suggest? Now, children, I would like to tell you here that all of the group of villagers had come together. So it shows like all of them, all of a sudden they clicked their tongues. It doesn't show any kind of group activity as such. It is collective activity. It is collective response. Collectively they behave in the same manner, because they are also surprised, they are also shocked rather, to see the condition of the mother when they come to know. So this kind of an activity, the clicking of tongues, reflects nothing but collective response. So children, after studying after going through all 15 questions, I feel that we have we have gone through all different questions which cover different aspects, all aspects of the poem. But still I would suggest, children, that it's not enough that you go through these questions. Along with that also, you should be reading the poem. You should go through the glossary words and even phrases or any poetic devices such as rhyme scheme. You should know whether the poem has any particular kind of rhyming scheme, or it is a blank verse, free verse, and which different poetic devices are used effectively. You should be aware about it, children. So I would also suggest to learn like critical appreciation of the poem. That will also give you much more like clarity about your ideas or about the central idea of the poem. So now, children, we are going to study the next lesson that is chosen, the prose that is chosen by me is your 10th standard, from your 10th standard course book, unit 3.3, and it's about Stephen Hawking. Children, when this book got published, your course book, he was alive, huh? That's the reason you cannot have, or you don't have the reference about his death given in the lesson. So the whole poem talks about the Stephen Hawking, what all like difficulties did he face, and how like he overcame them, and with his determination, you can say. And there was something which was inspiring him from within. That also can be understood, children. So I'm going to read this paragraph which is chosen by me, and let's try and understand the gist of the lesson. The lesson Stephen Hawking gives us an insight about the unconquerable life of Stephen Hawking, who was a famous physicist and also cosmologist. He was detected with ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. It's a kind of disease. Naturally, the fear of death loomed. It hung over him, but he still went on to write and co-write. He could write almost 15 books. He could write 15 books. He even lost control over his speech. He had a lot of difficulties due to his health issues, which kept fluctuating. But overall, if you see, his never say die spirit kept both his mind as well as body in sync, in coordination, to entangle the mysteries of research work, which we are aware about, which we become the witness of. He has written almost, he could write and he could also co-write 15 books. So even though death was like looming over him, still without getting any like botheration about his death, he continued doing his work. That's the reason, children, I would like to show his picture to you. You can see over here, birth 1942, and he passed away in 2018. Now, children, we will start learning about the question and answers. Children, now you have learned about the lesson. I will assume, I'm going to consider that everyone has learned this lesson last year. But still, I would suggest you to go through to read the whole lesson thoroughly. Now, what all things have to be remembered while reading his lesson, this lesson, that he was detected with ALS at the young age of 21. However, he did not give up his hope. He continued. Then he could see his PhD. Then also this propelled him to pour himself into his work. When he realized that he could do PhD, again he continued putting in efforts. Then due to the disease, he was confined to a wheeled chair. He always needed assistance with his daily chores. He lost his voice as well as the control over his body. But in spite of all these shortcomings, he still went on to write. He continued writing. And then in 1985, with almost all his body control gone, he had lost all over his body control. Still, he has lost, and also along with his body, like losing his body control, even he had lost control over his speech. Still, he used a speaking program through a cheek muscle attached to his to a sensor to put his ideas across. So this is the way he continued. This is the way he continued. So children, now when we are learning about, when we have learnt about Stephen Hawking, as I said, when you learn, while reading the text, please underline all those happenings, all those events that took place in his life. Now, getting that ALS, then losing his control over his body, he started sitting on, he came on wheelchair. So all these incidents, they also can be asked in chronological order. We are going to see such kind of questions ahead. So let's begin with the first one. Now children, which of the following is not an example of reduplication? if you remember, we have learned certain grammar topics while studying this lesson. Now, what do you mean by reduplication? To make you understand easily, I have given even the definition. The root or stem of the word is repeated exactly the same or with a slight change. So see here, twit, twit. The same word is repeated in the same manner. Peter, patter. Now there is a slight change. Peter, patter. Then the next C option is feet, feet. See, outwardly the pronunciation is same, but the word gets changed over here. Riff, raff. So what do you think is the correct option for this question? If you have understood the meaning of reduplication, you will also understand here you are going to see the correct option. Which of the following is not an example of reduplication? So children, please find out the example of which is not the example of reduplication. Is it twit, twit? Or is it Peter, patter? Or is it feet, feet? What exactly it is? So if you see children, the word feet, feet is not an example of reduplication. Rather, it is the example, it is the example of, 1 minute children. Yes, feet, feet is an example of homophones, which you have learned in your 8th standard. Now next question, which of the following is an example of blending? Now what do you mean by blending? When parts of two or more words combine to form a new one. Look at these examples, these options. Option A, mathematics, where we use the part of it, math, boogie woogie. Then third one, international plus network becomes internet. Now what do you mean by blending? Blending is nothing but parts of the words, parts of two or even more than two words combine to form a new one. So let's follow this instruction in the given options. International plus network becomes internet. So the correct example of blending should be internet, because all the other words, they do not match with the definition that is given. But here at the same time, you need to remember one thing, that no one will provide you the definition. So you should have clear-cut ideas about reduplication, blending, clippings, acronyms. You should have clarity about their definitions. Then only you will be able to understand it. And look at the last option, that is gymnasium, and the short form is gym. So the option C is correct one. International plus network is equal to internet. Question number 3. Which of the following is an example of clipping? Clipping is that where reducing a word to one of its syllable comes. Means if there are two words like chill, relax, becomes chillax. Gasoline becomes gas. Okay. Then criss cross, and PS is postscript. If you see PS, the last option children, it is the short form, so it cannot be clipping. If you see the first one, chill plus relax becomes chillax. So here I think so it's an example of blending which we have done in the previous question. Now look at the second one, gasoline. Big word, but what you have to do with that big word? You have to reduce it to small word with one syllable or more than one syllable. So B option should be the correct one. Gasoline becomes gas, or mathematics becomes maths. So this is also an example of clipping. Now question number 4. What do you mean by acronyms? Is it the root or stem that gets repeated, or words formed from the first letter of each of the words involved? Children, you have been doing activities based on acronyms every year in your English course book. So maybe in the warming up activities, acronyms are asked. You have been asked in the poem A Time to Believe in your 8th standard. You have been asked even before in the warming up activities in your 10th standard, most of the lessons. So what do you mean by acronyms? Acronyms are nothing but when the words formed from the first letter of each of the words involved, and that is the way it is like a chain. So second option should be the correct one, but still we are going to study, we will observe third and fourth option. Parts of two or more words combined to form a new word? No. This cannot be. This is known as blending. So C option also is a wrong option. Then reducing a word to one of its syllable or part of it. This is clipping, which we have done in the previous question. So the option B should be the correct option for acronyms. That means acronyms. Question number 5. Name the subject that Stephen Hawking was studying at the University of Cambridge. Children, to get or to have correct answers based on such kinds of factual questions, you need to go through the text, read the text thoroughly, underline all important words. So was it physics, mathematics, biology or cosmology? It was only cosmology, which we have studied initially, that it was physics where he get qualified, educated, and the cosmology. But here the statement says he was studying this subject at the University of Cambridge and it was only cosmology. Question number 6. Name the film made in 2014 based partly on Hawking's life. Was it Quantum Physics, children? See now, Quantum Physics is the name of the book which he has written. So you should be aware what are the names of his books and what exactly the film that was made in 2014 based on partly of his life. So Venom, I think so this movie had come in 2018 only. So Venom is not the movie which is based on his life. Infinity War is also not the movie based on his life. Rather, it was the theory of everything. So to understand or to get the correct answer, please read the lesson thoroughly. So the option D is the correct option. Now question number 7. Rearrange the following events in the order of their occurrence. Now 5 sentences are given here and these 5 are given in a jumbled order and only one option is correct amongst 4. So A, B, C, D, one option is going to be the correct option where the statements are arranged in the correct chronological order or in the order of Stephen's life. So Hawking was diagnosed with ALS. Hawking was argued that the Big Bang theory was an inevitable consequence of physics. Then doctor said that he was suffering from a rare disease, but it was not multiple sclerosis. Hawking would often trip and fall and his speech developed a slur, and Hawking set out to challenge Newton's belief that the universe was created by God. So overall, if you see, children, you must remember the consequences, the chronological order or the sequence. So Hawking argued that the Big Bang theory was an inevitable consequence of physics because he was learning physics at that time. So option 2 should be the first one. Then comes Hawking set out to challenge Newton's belief because that time he had not developed any kind of diseases or any health issues. So Hawking set out to challenge Newton's belief that the universe was created by God. Then comes option 4, that is Hawking would often trip and fall. His speech developed a slur. And then comes doctors finally said that he was suffering from a rare disease. It was not multiple sclerosis. And then he comes to know that he was diagnosed with ALS. So children, if you see all the options, the option A should be the correct one. 2, 5, 4, 3, 1. Okay. Now we will go through question number 8. Identify the present perfect continuous tense for the following. The book offered a more illustrated guide to cosmology's big theories. So here, children, the book offered, the question is based on grammar and you are asked to identify the present perfect continuous tense. Children, you should remember that there are 3 main tenses. Each tense gets divided into 4 subtenses. So overall, if you see 4 3s are 12 tenses we have. Okay. Now, here when you observe the sentence, you come to know that the simple past tense is used. The verb comes in the simple past form, makes the sentence into simple past tense. The book offered a more illustrated guide to cosmology's big theories. Now, what you need to do, what you need to change, you need to change simple past tense into present perfect continuous. What do we know about present perfect continuous? Present, where we have to use has, have. Okay. Then we also have to use, when we have to show continuous, if it is not perfect, we would have used am, is, are. But now here we have to show perfect tense. So obviously we have to use either has or have plus perfect tense, offered, perfect continuous tense, offering. So you have to also take care of the subject, whether it is singular or plural. Now the subject, the book is a singular word. So obviously what comes for the singular word? Singular noun, singular subject, even the singular verb comes. So let's go through the options. The book has been offering a more illustrated guide to cosmology's big theories. Has plus been plus verb in ing form. Option B, the book has offered a more illustrated guide to cosmology's big theories. Has offered, it shows present perfect tense. C, the book had offered a more illustrated guide to cosmology's big theories. Had offered, had, past perfect tense. Had plus verb in the past participle form. Then option D is the book had been offering. It shows past perfect continuous tense, whereas we need to change it into present perfect tense. So obviously the option A is going to be the correct one. So whenever grammar based question comes, children, especially when it is based on tenses, you should have clear ideas what comes for which tense. Please go through, revise, practice grammar also neatly. Then question number 9. Choose the correct form of the question tag for the following. Now here the sentence is given and you need to add a question tag. Children, we have learnt the grammar based on questions, like framing question is a separate question, adding a question tag is something different, and when you convert, when you transform the given sentence into a question, that is also totally different. Here you are going to add only the tag. So adding a tag, exactly it is given in the same way. You have to repeat the sentence and only towards the end you have to add the question tag. So he is convinced that time travel is possible. If you look at the sentence, please go through the options also. He is convinced that time travel is possible. Does he? He is convinced that time travel is possible. Isn't he? He is convinced that the time travel is possible. Didn't he? He is convinced that the time travel is possible. Is he? Now when we add a question tag, we have learned the rules that look at the sentence, must see the verb, that is tense, verb, its tense, whether the sentence is positive or negative, vice versa, it has to be worked. When we are adding a question tag, if the sentence is positive, change the tag into negative. If the sentence remains negative, you have to change the tag into positive. And see the verb also and its tense. He is convinced, present perfect tense. So you are not supposed to change the tense over here. You just have to see if any auxiliary verb is used, then the same auxiliary verb has to be used, like vice versa as we have studied, positive into negative, negative into positive. But when there is no auxiliary verb, then you have to make the use of do, does, did according to the subject. Here the subject is he, which is already a pronoun. So you are changing the positive into negative. So he is convinced will change into isn't he. So the option B should be the correct one. I hope you are able to understand what explanation I am giving here. Many a times we have done, and it is so simple, only the concept should be very clear. If the sentence is positive, tag should be negative. If the sentence is negative, tag should be positive. If auxiliary verb is used, put it like vice versa, positive into negative, negative into positive. If the auxiliary verb is not used, make the use of do, does, did. Because the sentence is here in the present perfect tense, already auxiliary verb is used, you are changing it into isn't. Now children, the next question, question number 10. Choose the correct option for the following. Hawking catapulted to international prominence with the publication of A Brief History of Time. Hawking, subject, catapulted, verb, to international prominence with the publication of A Brief History of Time becomes the predicate. Here you are going to change the voice. Let's go through the options. The publication of A Brief History of Time was catapulted. See, the sentence is given into simple past tense. So here past perfect tense is used. Next, the publication of A Brief History of Time had catapulted. Actually, there is no need to use had. Then option C, the publication of A Brief History of Time catapulted Hawking to international prominence. And the option D is the publication of A Brief History of Time had been catapulted Hawking to international prominence. Children, you need to revise the rules by changing the voice. The given voice is in active, you need to change it into passive. There is exchange of the places of subject and predicate, that is object. So object will take the place of subject and subject will come at the place of object, changing the verb. Now here you need not make any changes in the verb. The publication of a brief history of time catapulted Hawking to international prominence. Option C is the correct option. Next, question number 11. Identify the correct option for the following. Since its publication, it has sold millions of copies. See, we have already discussed, children, there are 3 types of questions, rather grammar topic, which asks you to change the sentence into an interrogative, into a question. Since its publication, it has sold millions of copies. It has sold, present perfect tense. You are changing the sentence into a question. The sentence formation is S plus V plus O, but when you change it, transform it into a question, it changes into V plus S plus O plus additional question mark which has to be added towards the end. So see here options. Had it not sold millions of copies since its publication? Option B. Did it not sell millions of copies since its publication? C. Does it not sell millions of copies since its publication? Or D. Has it not sold millions of copies since its publication? Children, after going through these 4 options, you learn that when you change a sentence into a question or when you change a question into a sentence, you have to work it like while studying about the question tag we have studied. It works vice versa. Sentence is positive, change it into negative into a question. Sentence is negative, the question should be positive. Because here the sentence is positive, you have to change the sentence, positive sentence, into negative question. And as we have discussed, SVO changes into VSO plus question mark. Now here it has sold. Obviously it should start, even you can start this way also, but because the options and from the given options only the answer has to be chosen, we will go this way. Has it not sold millions of copies since its publication? This option should be the correct option because you need to change that positive sentence into negative. So the last option will become the accurate or correct option for the given sentence. Has it not sold millions of copies since its publication? Even this way also it is correct, children. When you are writing the answer on your own in your own handwriting, you could have written this way also. Since its publication, has it not sold millions of copies? This way also it is correct. Question number 12. Choose the incorrect option, means wrong option you are going to choose. Accessible, accessibility, depicted, depict, diagnosed, diagnosis, illustrated, illustration. After going through all 4 options, children, it should be very clear in your mind that the given pairs are about adjectives and or maybe verbs changed into nouns. So accessible, the noun form of accessible is accessibility. The noun form of depicted should be depiction, but here verb is given. So this is an incorrect option. But let's go through remaining options also. Diagnosed, and the noun form of diagnosed is diagnosis. Illustrated, the noun form of illustrated is illustration. So amongst all 4, only option B is the incorrect option. Now question number 13. Hawking directs the program through a cheek muscle attached to a sensor. Change the voice. Again the voice question has come, children. So as we have learnt, I'll just revise it. There is an exchange of the places of subject and object. See the verb, it has to be changed into its perfect tense. Please remember that. So now, Hawking, subject, directs, verb, the program through a cheek muscle attached to a sensor will become the object. Now object will come to the place of subject. The program directed by Hawking through a cheek muscle attached to a sensor. Directed. So given sentence is in the simple present tense, it has changed here in option A into simple past tense. Now look at the second one. The program was directed, past perfect tense. The program is directed, present perfect tense. Simple present tense changes into perfect present tense. So the option C should be the correct option. The program is directed by Hawking through a cheek muscle attached to a sensor. And the last one, had been directed, means past perfect tense. That is also going to be the wrong answer. So only the option C is the correct option for the given question. Now question number 14. The invention allowed Hawking to select words on a computer screen that were then passed through a speech synthesizer. See, the given sentence is either in a simple sentence or into a complex sentence, because the question says you need to change it into a compound sentence. So there are three kinds of sentences which we have learned: simple, complex, compound. Here the given sentence is which sentence that needs to be understood. What is the definition of a simple sentence? Where there is one subject and one predicate, obviously that becomes a simple sentence. Here if you see, observe the sentence, there are two clauses given. So obviously it's not going to be the simple sentence at all, because there are two clauses I said, but in a simple sentence you get only one clause. It's a small sentence rather. The invention allowed Hawking to select words on a computer screen. This is first clause, and the second is that was then passed through a speech synthesizer. This becomes the subordinate clause. So the given sentence is in the complex sentence. You need to change this complex format into a compound sentence format. Now let's go through the options. The invention allowed Hawking to select words on a computer screen, but these were then passed through the speech synthesizer. When do we use opposite? Children, when do you have studied about the coordinators. Whenever you change the given sentence into a compound sentence, you have to join two main clauses with the coordinating conjunctions. These conjunctions are yet, not only but also, therefore, then and, but, or. So amongst these only have to be used, but which one to be chosen? Now here but is used. When do we use but? When two sentences are not similar to each other or contradictory to each other, but the given sentence is not contradictory. So the option A is the wrong option, because the coordinating conjunction but is used and that is not suitable to the given answer. Let's go through option B. The invention allowed Hawking to select words on a computer screen, but these were then, same kind of option. The invention allowed Hawking to select words on a computer screen and these were then passed through a speech synthesizer. Yes, here the coordinating conjunction and is used to join two main clauses, because two clauses are meaningful clauses, main clauses. They are getting used with the coordinating conjunction and. So this option can be correct, but still we need to go through the last one also. The invention allowed Hawking to select words on a computer screen. These were then passed through a speech synthesizer. This will not become a compound sentence, children, because there is no use of coordinating conjunction. So in that case, out of 4 options, only C option should be the correct option. Now children, the last question we are on. We are on the last question. Choose the wrong pair of acronyms. Children, we have studied about the definition of acronyms. Short forms are given, isn't it? So when we use the word ASAP, means as soon as possible. PS means what, children? Postscript. LAN, L-A-N, land and nation. Is the option correct, children? You need to think about it. DIY is what? Do it yourself. Now, which option is the wrong option, wrong pair of acronyms? What is the long form of PS? Is it the correct option? Yes. ASAP, as soon as possible. DIY, do it yourself. Only if you see and observe, C option, LAN, cannot be land and nation, but rather it is local area network. That is the short form abbreviations we use. So the option C is going to be the wrong option. So children, today we have discussed totally 2 topics. First one is a poem, Night of the Scorpion, and the second one is the lesson 3.3, Stephen Hawking, and all probable questions we have discussed, children. But still I would suggest go through the lesson, go through glossary words, underline all important events about Stephen Hawking whenever you are learning and revising this lesson, and overall find out what all kinds of points can be asked in different forms. So you can even frame your questions, children, on your own. So I think so now I have come to the last juncture, last point of the session, and let me just say bye-bye to all of you. Take care of your studies and all the best for English CET exam. Thank you.